Guys, what it is your girl Cadillac. I am Cadillac Dixon. I'm the Draw My Life prison wife. I'm the legally blind artist that is rapping and painting for justice, hoping to see justice before all fades to black. Yes, it's a shame I got to hold my breath for justice, but I do, because justice is not just given, it is not just granted. You got to fight and fight and fight, and maybe one day you'll achieve justice. So that's where I'm at. I'm 21 years in almost on my fight for justice to put my family back together. Baby, if my family was never broken apart for no dang on reason, I would not be up here fighting. But I mean, experience is gonna push you through life towards your causes in life. So my eyes were open to the injustice system at a young age. At age 20, it was like somebody, because let me tell you, okay, so the system and the justice system is basically like a curtain, it's behind a curtain. Okay, so they show, or basically, let's say a two-way mirror. You know, that mirror that you could see a reflection and they're reflecting something out to you, but behind the mirror, something's going on, but you can't see what's going on. So it's like if somebody just removed and exposed that mirror like right away, and it's no longer the justice that they're reflecting to me that they want us to think and believe. It's you see what's really happening. Baby, my eyes were exposed and open at 20 years old. And it really pains me. It People think we really do have this illusion of justice. They think it's real, it's a mirage. If justice really exists, why do I have to fight so hard for it? Doesn't make sense. But anyways, today I am here just checking in with you guys. My channel is growing. Finally, don't know like where it's gonna go from here, but I'm almost nearing my 1,000, which is crazy because I am watching Lovely T, and she was commenting about the video that Corey Kenshin did about basically there being bias against black creators, which, baby, most likely that's what's going on. See, the problem with the isms, you can't never really prove them. You feel them, you know them, you know there's no way that, but you can never quite prove anything because you have to have definite proof to prove something. So while it's being biased against us, we have no way to prove it. So it's basically like crying wolf. Like basically black people just crying wolf. Y'all always crying wolf. Y'all always crying wolf. Girl, whatever. Everything ain't... Baby, a lot of things are about color. Unfortunately, this is what I have to talk about, color, all the time, because this is the reason my husband's not in the home with me, is because of his color, because of his nationality. That's why he's in prison and not at home with his family. He was a disposable part of society, which unfortunately they believe African Americans to be disposable human life. Okay, so my fight continues. Don't know if I'll ever win my fight, but I'm gonna fight till I die, I guess. Anyway, so I wanted to tell you about another fight. Like, I've experienced so much freaking injustice in my life, like in a whole totally different areas, not just in this area, but in other areas too. I've a lot of injustice, and it's like, why? It really pisses you off because you grow up thinking that this justice exists. It's almost like when people think Santa Claus is this, and then that moment you realize it doesn't. You're like, wow, why would somebody try to fool me like this? Like, why would somebody tell me this tall tale, and then basically I found out that, or the tooth fairy, when you find out the tooth fairy doesn't exist. That's the same thing when you find out that justice don't really exist. It's a mirage, and I'm telling you. But another battle that I had to deal with is, first of all, my husband is wrongfully convicted. He was convicted without a shred of evidence, no fingerprints, no DNA, no GSR testing, no weapon that they claim he had. All you have to do is say a weapon was involved. You never have to produce a weapon, and a person can be charged with a weapon, which a weapon escalates your charge, and you never have to prove it. Why? Because we're black. Biggest reason, because he's black. Somebody would have fought for him if he wasn't a black guy. But that's just the world that we live in. I'm going to fight for him, though he is a black guy. I'm going to fight for him. But another place where I had to experience injustice was due to that. My husband was taken away from our family when our daughter was just 9 months old. And we had to see each other only through prison visits all over Florida. Florida. Florida has two different parts. You have the Panhandle, which goes straight, left to right, like long ways, and then you have the peninsula that goes up and down, right? So I'm basically in Central Florida. I have visited my husband all the way up towards Alabama, Georgia, Florida line, where he is now, to all the way down by where is that, where Plies is from? Myers, I can't think of it. What's the name of that place? Whatever. Fort Myers, yeah. All the way down there, almost by Miami. He has been all over the state of Florida. When your husband or loved one goes to prison, they put them as far as they can from the house. It becomes a burden to the family to try to travel. When I was traveling, I was only 20 years old. Of course, most 20-year-olds don't even have a good functioning car. I had a new baby, and I would have to rent cars. To rent cars, they would charge me more because I was under the age of 25. I would have to basically pay for hotel lodging all over the state of Florida. And then once you go in, they price gouge the price for food on the street. Whatever you're going to pay on the street in prison, you can pay easily 3 to 4 times the amount of what it's worth in prison. So they price gouge the expensive phone calls, but they know that you're going to pay it because that's the person you love, and you're going to, if you have it, if you can scrape it together, you're going to accept them calls. So basically, they take your loved one, and then they know you're going to pay whatever they ask for you to have communication with them. And I've had to deal with that for 20 years. In spite of it, that was the way that our daughter was able to spend time with her father. They would play games together at visitation. They would talk about school. Even at when they start going outside, you know how you turn around with your child and hold their hand and like swing them around. Like, my daughter never would have gotten to do any of those things with her dad. Hey, daddy, can I get up on your back? Like, none of that if we didn't have prison visits. Okay, so last year, my prison visits, after 20 years of visiting, I done seen some things happen at visitation. Everybody is not at visitation to just visit their loved ones. A lot of people have other agendas. But the only reason I go, well, basically that started, oh my gosh. Okay, so when I started on my journey of prison wife life, this was not popular. This has become popular. A lot of prisoners, they're meeting on dating apps. And they're starting relationships in that manner, which everybody needs companionship. I don't understand it, but that ain't for me to understand, just like many people may not understand me. And it's really, I guess it's not for you to understand, but I wouldn't have signed up for this. I'm just telling you, there's no way I would have signed up for this. The reason that I am in this life is because he was literally my husband in the house with me, and he was snatched from our family. But this hurt that I go through, I would have never went looking for it on a dating app. But when I started this journey, it wasn't as popular as it is to be a prison wife at all. Now it's basically cool. They have all these different support groups, they have all these different clubs and stuff like that, but it wasn't that when I started this road. So some, they come in a Vizzo to get it on. Yep, even though Florida has no conjugal visits, I've seen a lot of them coming to get it on. There were some coming for other reasons, for contraband reasons. I have never in my life come to visitation for any of those reasons but to see my husband. That's it. You took him from my home and placed him way out in the countryside all over the state. So if that's where he's at, I gotta travel way out to the countryside to see him. But that's all I'm there for, to see him, to visit with him, to hold his hand, to get that one hug and that one kiss. That's the only reason I'm there. So basically, I hadn't got to visit in 2020. I think we had one visit, but then the shutdown of 2020 happened. As soon as that happened, we weren't getting calls from our loved ones. We didn't even know if our loved ones were alive or not, because you already heard what was going on in 2020 and hearing how I'm not even going to get into that. So many times we didn't know if our loved ones were safe, okay, sound, or anything. And they definitely are not going to let you know if you'll never find out the truth. You're not going to get the truth from them people. So you had to constantly worry. So finally visitations opened back up. I went to visitation after maybe 9 months or so. They placed them way out in the countryside, almost by Alabama. I'm in Central Florida, so I would have to travel from Alabama. I worked overnight. I would get off of work and have to travel that far. Sleepy as I don't know what, about to run off the road, trying to get up there to see my husband. One of the last times I seen him, I did see him with our daughter once, and then the second time I went to go, I get all the way there and I get a call that they're on quarantine, so they're locked down because of so I had to turn all the way back home and just drive home. I drove for about 13 hours that day and did not see my husband. Right after that, once they got off of quarantine, I scheduled another visit to visit my husband. I drive way up there. Now, remember, I've been visiting him in many facilities over the state of Florida for the last 20 years at that point. 20 years. No infractions, no violations. We were never caught in no closets getting nothing on. We weren't caught passing nothing. We ain't did none of that. I come to see him. I get all the way up there. 7 hours, sleepy as heck, and I was so tired that day. I said, but if I can get through 3 hours of visitation, because visitation was only 3 hours at the time, I said, I'll just figure it out. I'll just pull to a gas station and take a nap before I drive home. I was so freaking tired. I got in. I couldn't believe I seen him. They rushed me rush me through the process to get in. Usually they drag that ish out. They play over your time. They don't care. See, we're beneath them. We're way down here. We're nothing. We're basically nothing. We're scum because we're going to visit scum. Who's really the scum, though? It's hard to tell. You could stand them right next to each other and you'll never know who's the real scum. But I go to visit him. They rush me in. They never rush so fast. Get me in. He sits down. We get that one hug when visitation starts, one kiss, and we sit down. And he's like, how are you doing? I'm like, how are you doing? We hadn't seen each other in almost 2 years, basically. Just for 5 minutes later, a lady officer comes in and calls my license plate number. And really, I'm thinking that I parked in the wrong spot. Baby, I don't do nothing wrong like that. So I never in my wildest dreams would I believe I'm going to be accused of what they accused me of, because I don't do anything like that at all. So I get called out. And I'm thinking they just want me to move my car. No, baby, they telling me dogs hit on my car. Dogs? Okay, so where's the dogs? Never seen a dog. They never showed me nothing. They never gave me the form they were supposed to give me per their rules. They wanted to search my vehicle. A plainclothes officer searched my vehicle. He's yelling at me, I'm taking you to jail. I'm taking you to jail. I search of baby, you're not. I have seen too many instances where people get set up. I let you search my car, and then what? Now, I know for sure I ain't got nothing on my car, but I don't know for sure that you ain't gonna put nothing in my car. And then what is my word against theirs, right? Just like it's Marcello's word against theirs. Even though all the evidence is in Marcello's court on his side, but guess who wins? They win. So you think I'm going to win a battle against it being their word against mine? If they found it, it would be mine. They would make it mine. And it would be... And y'all still believe in this freaking justice. Yes, but so they canceled my visitations because I wouldn't allow them to violate me and search my vehicle without any warrant. So because and I kept thinking, I'm like, dang, if I don't let them search, I'm gonna lose, the visitation with my husband. If I let them search and they put something in my car, I'm going to lose my freedom. And I had just graduated college the week before. When do I look like graduating college? 1 week. And the next week, I'm taking substances to a prison. What the fuck? But they won. They won. And me and Marcello lost our visits after 20 years. I am not allowed to go see him. I'm not allowed at all. I can't see him. And before I left, the guard says, well, I don't know if you're visiting your father or your husband, because we are the only ones that visit him, our daughter and me. That's it. Nobody else is in this situation holding him down. It's me and her. That's it. That's it. And it gets heavy. It's a heavy burden for me to bear by myself, but I got to bear it by myself because nobody else wants to help. But he says, I don't know if you're visiting your husband or your father, but your visits are terminated indefinitely. And that's all over the state of Florida. And then he laughs at me, smiles, as I walk off crying. Are you freaking kidding me? I already had to raise our daughter through prison visits. He's wrongfully convicted, and I could scream that from the top of my lungs and still won't nobody give two darns about it. Nobody cares. But so you reduced our family down to its lowest right? And then you take that small portion of family that we had, you took it away just because you can. You can do it, so you did it, right? And the reason that they did it was because Marcello had just wrote a grievance on an officer. So it was payback. It was payback. We had all the proof in the world. But guess what? Guess what? Guess who the people that investigate sides with? This is your justice. They side with them. They said that was a coincidence. That was a coincidence. So I didn't even want to even, try to get visitations back. And we had just been approved to get married. We were finna get married. Everything was, but once they banned me from the prison, we no longer can get married. So I was supposed to reapply. It's against my will to reapply because I feel like I'm begging. I'm begging for, it's like your rights. I'm begging for my rights. I'm begging the mercy of people who don't see us as human. They don't see him as human. They see him as an inmate, and they see me as the wife of an inmate. So we're beneath them. So I'm begging somebody way up above us to have mercy on us who are nothing. I didn't want to do it, but I did it on the strength that Marcello asked me, Keita, you're not going to fight with me no longer. You're not going to fight to get our visits back. Baby, Keita is tired of fighting and losing every battle. Lose every battle. No matter how right you are, you lose. Despite what I wanted, I applied for visitation. Now, this is where we are now. I've had to put in the visitation form at least 5 times, 4 or 5 times. I put it in. They said I could reapply in 6 months. I put one in then. They said that was too early. I put one in, and a year later, they said that one was too early. It was coming up towards a year. That one was too early. So then I put one in after the year. I emailed it. They said they never got it. So then I sent one in, and they told me they never got it because the mail rule changed and mail doesn't come to the facility anymore. It goes to Tallahassee, so they can't find it. So I emailed it. They finally said they got it. And now it's a month waiting period, and then the choice is in their hands. They still are able to deny me. So I basically feel like I'm begging. I'm begging. And I don't want to beg no more. I'm tired of begging. I'm tired. I understand that I am beneath you. I understand that he's beneath you. And I'm tired of begging others for what we should already have. That's already our rights. Anyways, that's where we are with the visitation. Oh, but basically, I did include that picture that has all those visitations from when our daughter was little. That's not even her first visitation picture. Can't find it. It was so freaking goddamn long ago. But you can see how little she is. And then you see the last picture where I'm out the picture, of course, because they banned me. And it's just him, our daughter and granddaughter. So I'm begging. It's against my principles, but my husband wants me to continue to fight for visitation back. All right, guys. That's my struggle with injustice at the moment because I got so many other struggles, but that's what it is. All right, it's your girl Cadillac.